Welcome back to Theresa's Dad. My name is Theresa and I'm very much alive. I have an awful, garbage, filthy, disgusting mouth, so viewer discretion is advised. But if you're not into that or weird stuff in general, this is definitely not the place for you. Feel free to exit the video here. No harm, no foul, but I'll remember our time fondly. Why, hello, my children. Welcome. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the new Nightmare on Elm Street collection, which I have a lot of thoughts on it. But in addition to that, I also want to talk a little bit about which collection I think reigns supreme. I really love the fact that Glamlite focused a lot of their collaborations this fall on top horror icons, but I kind of feel a little exhausted if I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all. And I think that's why there's such a delay in this video. I feel like the pacing of each collection just, I don't know, just I needed a minute. I needed a break. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks this. That said, I want to say a special thank you to Glamlite for sending this to me. I really do appreciate it. And I apologize that this video has taken so long because I know a lot of y'all are so curious to know my thoughts on it, considering I am the queen of the dead. And I love horror, and this is just in my wheelhouse, but I was just a little exhausted from the whole thing. That said, if you were ever interested in wanting to check out anything from Glamlite, I am affiliated with them, so if you do use the code garbage, you could save money off your order, but please note, if you do use that code, I do get a small kickback. Now, that said, regardless if this was sent to me in PR or not, I'm going to give you my full honest thoughts. So let's just jump right into it because I have a lot of thoughts on this whole collection. So the Nightmare on Elm Street collection retails for $178, and you could still pick it up, including the beautiful PR box, which is this guy right here. I love him. I think out of all the collaborations, this is by far the best presentation. I say that now and I think about the Ghostface one, and that one's a really cool PR box, but I think something like this is just so it's just so fucking good. It's so good. And I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity considering that this was like one big kind of like horror icons collaboration. I really wish that each horror villain would have had one of their PR boxes kind of look like this, because I think it would have been really, really cool as a huge display piece to have all collections look like they're coming out of a VHS box. So that I feel like was a little bit of a missed opportunity, and I really hope that if they do this again, something to really consider. And especially since all of these guys, they come from the great age of VHS anyway, so it kind of makes sense to go that route, but whatever. Anyway, I'm splitting hairs at this point. So in this collection, you get the following: a mirror, 2 palettes, 1 lip duo, 1 blush trio, 5 brushes, 1 lip oil, and 1 makeup bag. So in today's video, I'm not going to be able to talk about the makeup bag or the lip oil. Those were 2 products that weren't sent to me. And I don't know if it's because they just weren't available or they forgot to pack them. I don't know. But I definitely want to pick them up. So if they are not going to be sent to me in PR, I am going to buy them myself because I just really, 1, I want the makeup bag. I fucking love makeup bags. And 2, I love fucking lip oils. And I really wanted to try this lip oil. Anyway, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about everything else, and I want to start with the one that's my least favorite, unfortunately, and that is the Nightmare on Elm Street 5-piece brush set. First of all, the box is fucking everything. I love the presentation of it, but the brushes are kind of, they're not amazing. So the brushes retail for $24. You get 2 face brushes and 3 eye brushes. The one thing that I really wanted to love more is the overall aesthetic of the brushes. I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity again, because I think it would have been better had these been Freddy's claws. That would have been really fucking cute. But no, instead we kind of get these weird like blood vial things, which they're not even filled up all the way. So they look kind of weird in my opinion. But then when you look at the eye brushes, you can see that it's almost filled. So I wish that the face brushes had the same amount of volume, or maybe they do, but because the face brushes are a little bit fatter, maybe that's why they look halfway filled. But either way, I wish they would have just kind of made everything look a little bit more even. The annoying part of my Libra brain hates the fact that things are not even. It drives me crazy. So when I see this, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it just irks the shit out of me. With that said, once you kind of move past it, I wasn't able to play with both of these brushes. I do want to use this one in the future, especially for like foundation or some sort of cream product. I think this could be okay, but this as a blush brush, it was fine. I actually didn't mind it. The bristles were nice. They weren't overly soft where it feels like as soon as it touches your face, the bristles kind of like spray like this, but it wasn't too stiff either where I felt like it was poking me. It has a nice overall feel. That said, when blending the blush out, I didn't use this product to blend it out. I wanted something a little bit more dense, and that's why I reached for my Hourglass, which, bitch, is my tried and true. Anytime I feel like I'm in a little trouble, Hourglass saves the day. So yeah, this is fine. This was okay. When it comes to the eye brushes, I wanted so much more out of them. I really did. They are far too big. If you have hooded eyes, they literally are the whole size of your fucking eye. They reach all the way up to your eyebrow. It's not good. I feel like I need to use this as a highlighter brush because that's the only thing that I will ever be able to get any use out of. The little pencil brush is fine. I don't mind it, but also the tip of it is kind of a little bit pointed, so it doesn't feel super comfortable. And then you have like this kind of square kind of packing brush, which I did use it, but I felt a little bit like, oh shit, because it was just so fucking big. It was kind of spilling all over the place, so I had to stop using this and just kind of use other brushes. So I just think size-wise, it's just not practical for somebody that has hooded eyes. So if you were looking at these, I don't think you're really missing out on anything, so I would totally skip if I were you. But I do give them credit for at least trying something different. I just wish they were executed better. Another thing that I wasn't completely in love with was the mirror. So the Nightmare on Elm Street mirror retails for $22, and it's just so bulky and awkward, and I can't stand it because they created something really, really beautiful with the Jason one or even the Ghostface one. Like, these are really, really cute. This one is so bulky, and I really don't understand kind of the background or the design of it. Like, the Elm Street, is this supposed to be a street pole? If so, I really wish this Elm Street was kind of more centered. I think this would have been better had the focal point been the glove more, and then kind of had like a little bit of spillage over here where you have his claws. That would have been cute. So stylistically, this is not speaking to me. The other thing that's annoying about this mirror too is that whatever this piece is, like this piece of plastic or acrylic or whatever it is, the edges are so fucking sharp. Like, you can cut a bitch with that. So I mean, in theory, like, yes, I guess it does match his razors because I can cut somebody with it. If I still lived in New York, this would have made for a really good weapon if I was commuting in the subway, because yeah, don't come close to me, bitch. I'll get you. Anyway, I don't like it because it's very, very sharp, and when I first took it out of the packaging, I did wind up actually scratching myself. So I need to either sand this down or, I don't know, fucking baby-proof it or something, just so that I don't get these little nicks. What I do like about the mirror is the size. I think that is one thing that, you know, kind of is like missing with the Ghostface one. As much as I love this, I wish it was a little bit wider, and that's why I always reach for him, because I feel like this is like the perfect length, but I love the square one. I also feel like the mirror quality in this one is actually a lot nicer than the other mirrors that came out with these collections. So the quality of the mirror is like an A+, while the execution is more of a D. So I wish I loved this more. Okay, so let's move on to the lip product. So the Freddy Krueger lipstick duo retails for $20. And I'll be honest with you, I think out of all the lip products that I have ever really tried from Glamlite, there's maybe a small percentage that I have enjoyed, and the remainder of them have always been like, afterthoughts. This was probably my favorite thing. I absolutely love the color of this lipstick. I just think it's so fucking pretty, and yeah, maybe it doesn't go exactly with my look, but I don't care. It's just such a good fall color. I'm completely obsessed with it. I also really love the attention to detail on each of the bullets. With the darker lipstick, it has these cute little spiders on it, and then of course with the lighter one, it says Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, I didn't mind the darker shade. I think it's really pretty, but it's something that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, so I don't know how often I am gonna wear it, but I will definitely wear the lighter one a lot for sure. What I like about this formula is that while yes, it is a matte formula, it's not an insufferable shitty matte where it feels like it's drying your lips out. There's still a lot of hydration to this product. I also love the fact that it doesn't bleed into the outer corners. I love that I'm not getting any sort of like weird hard bits, and most importantly, the longevity is fucking perfection. Now, if you are going to be eating or drinking, yes, you are going to be missing some of the product, but I think because of the color, it just, I don't know, matches the lips so well that it doesn't look super noticeable that you do have a little bit of product missing. But again, the longevity is really, really good. I've been drinking water like nobody's business. I feel so fucking thirsty today. I feel like my insides are just coated in salt. But every time I keep drinking, I keep like expecting to see like a huge hole, and it's like, no, like, yeah, okay, I do see a little bit of it missing, but it's really not that bad. I also really enjoy the fact that I don't feel like I need to put a gloss over this. I can wear it on its own, but if I do want a little extra bit of hydration, if I do add a clear gloss to it, it just looks that much better. So overall, I'm a really huge fan of these. I love the packaging, I love the application, I love it all, and I'm actually really surprised to say that because I have never really been a huge fan of their lip products, and it makes me hopeful that they're going to continue with this formula. So yay! And more basic bitch colors, please. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Okay. Moving on to the blush palette. The Nightmare on Elm Street, the Chest of Souls blush trio retails for $18. What is so cute about this product is, of course, the lenticular cover. I love that it says Chest of Souls and then it says Nightmare on Elm Street. How cute is that? I love that when you do open her up, you get a nice little mirror here, and here are your 3 blushes. The pan embossings on these babies are so fucking cute. They're so cute. Now in this trio, you get kind of like a nice pinky coral, then you kind of get like a strawberry red, and then you get this beautiful maroon color here. On this side of the face, I use the pinky coral, and then on this side of the face, I use these 2 together. And I have to say, I really do like it. I love Glamlite's blush formula. It never disappoints me. It always makes me happy. My favorite blush of theirs is the strawberry shortcake one. If you could find that one, bitch, get it. It's so good. It's so fucking good. I love that pink. It's so good. That said, if you are a fan of Glamlite's blush formula, then you're going to be a fan of this product. The blushes are incredibly pigmented, so a little bit does go a long way, but they are easy to blend out. And if you do get into one of those situations where you're like, oh, it's a little bit too much for me, if you do take a little bit of setting powder, you can soften the look up. That was my biggest concern, honestly, because these 2 colors are really deep, especially on my ass, because I look like uncooked chicken. So I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how this is going to fucking work out, but I'm happy to say that it does work for someone like me. So if that's your major concern, don't be. As long as you go in with the light hand, you will be fine. In terms of longevity, these blushes are great. I didn't experience any patchiness, any weirdness, or any other bullshit. And even regardless of the brush I was using, whether I was using the brush from the collection or one of my other blush brushes, application was completely seamless. And this is definitely one of my favorite things from this collection. Actually, from all the collections, I really do love that there's blushes and highlighters. They have all been just fucking fantastic, and this is just definitely one of my favorites. That said, if you are worried about the colors of this palette with the little ghost face, don't be. The ghost face red blush is a very like blood red, very blood red, and she is deep, okay? This one is definitely a little bit more 80s, I feel like. It has more of like that strawberry pinkiness to it. So while yes, it is red, it's definitely like red pink, ultimately making it a very different blush. Now, a lot of these blushes are within the same family, but they have very different tones. So if you are worried that like, oh, I'm buying the same product over again, don't be. Yes, they might look the same, but they are all very different. The one thing though I do wish is that Nightmare on Elm Street collection had a highlighter, because I think it would have been really cool had there been, I don't know, like maybe like a white to red or maybe like a white to green. I think that would have been really cool. So I feel like they kind of missed the mark with that one, but I'll fucking take the blush palette. I think it's really cute, and it's definitely something that I'm going to keep picking up over and over again because I love the quality, and I like these colors. They're fun. So this was really good. Now let's move on to the palettes. So this collection has 2 different palettes. We have the Dream Master palette as well as the Freddy Krueger palette. Both palettes retail for $24 and have a 10-pan color story where you get 5 mattes and 5 shimmers. So let's talk about the Freddy Krueger one. Again, beautiful lenticular cover. We love her. We appreciate her. When you do open her up, you get a nice little mirror here, and here is your color story. It's a swampy green bitch, and I fucking love it. I love it. Now, if you are familiar with Glamlite's mattes, then you know exactly what you're working with. I'm happy to say that I didn't experience any sort of weird issues in terms of blending, no patchiness, no balding, no bullshit. Everything worked very seamlessly. I think my biggest complaint though about this palette is that I wish there was a lighter green shade in here, because I felt like it was almost kind of impossible to blend out some of these darker mattes without it just kind of being more of like a medium shade. Again, I look like uncooked chicken. So I want my edges to be softer and lighter. So I had to start using my setting powder just to soften those edges up. And it works fine, but it was just something that I'm like, I fucking wish that there was a lighter green in here, or maybe an off-white or something just to soften shit up. But it's not the end of the world that I have to use my setting powder. The biggest difference though from this palette to say the other palettes is that the shimmers in these are a little bit stiffer. They're a little bit harder. They have a little bit more of a texture. I noticed that I was getting more fallout than usual, but for the most part the fallout was clean, with the exception of like maybe a couple of rogue glitter bukkake that I just like fucking stuck to my face. For the most part, everything was easy to clean. And while yes, it does have a stiffer formula and like a stiffer kind of a texture, I don't want to say it's like sandpaper, but compared to the other palettes that feel more buttery, this is like way super noticeable that it's stiff. But being that it is a stiffer formula, I didn't notice any sort of issues with the opacity, with the exception of a slight kind of texture with this shadow. What was it? Is it Boiler Room? Yeah, Boiler Room. I noticed that when applied with glitter glue, it did have a little bit of like kind of like a hard texture, like a little bit of a thick texture, but it's not to the point where, you know, you could kind of like scratch it off your fucking eyelid and it just like falls off. That didn't happen whatsoever. I just had to keep going back in with the brush to kind of smooth it out a little bit, and it did work. That said, the shimmers are incredibly pigmented, so I didn't feel like I needed to go back and forth a bunch of times to build up opacity. It was just to try to kind of smooth out that little crunchy exterior. But I'm happy to say that I can smooth it out, so that's fucking great. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's maybe something with the formula mixed in whatever's in glitter glue. Maybe that's the thing that kind of just doesn't react very well, but whatever the case is, I was able to fix it. The other thing that I really, really love about this palette is the pan embossings. The pan embossings just feel so juvenile, and I mean that in like in a not in a shitty way. I mean that in the best way possible, because they look so not menacing. They actually look adorable. Like when I think about the blush palette, the little pan embossings feel a little bit more menacing. It feels a little bit more true to character, right? But when I look at this eyeshadow palette, it's just, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like a little kid drawing Freddy's glove. Like, I'm not being shitty about it. Like, I really love that. It's just like these little details that just make it just seem a little bit more fun. It's supposed to be kind of like serious, like, ooh, oh my God, Freddy Krueger is scary. But it just feels so fun. And I think that's what I like about it, is because Freddy Krueger is funny, like it kind of almost feels like, oh, this is cute, you know? Like, I like it. That said, I don't really have a bad thing to say about it, other than the shimmers having a slight bit stiffer texture. Everything worked really fine. When I did use shimmers together, like nothing ever looked muddy or patchy. Everything just worked together seamlessly. Like, this is a really good palette. I really, really enjoy this one. Moving on to the Dream Master palette. This one, you know, I like it. I don't love it. So this palette's a little bit interesting when you do open her up, because on the top, it's not just 5 shimmers. It's actually 4 shimmers, 1 matte. And then at the bottom, you have 4 mattes and 1 shimmer, which is kind of a little weird. And compared to the other palette, kind of just makes me a little uncomfortable, because I just wish it was even. Like, come on, come on. But what I don't love about this palette, again, I wish there was like a lighter red color or a pink or something like that. Blending out the deeper reds just kind of became a little bit of an issue, where again, I had to reach for a setting powder just to kind of lighten things up. But when you do that, you kind of create like a little bit of like this kind of pink, almost like someone shit on your pillowcase and now you got to deal with it. Pink eye situation, and that's kind of what I have going on here. Also, like red eyeshadow in general for me just sometimes makes me look infected. So as much as I do love a red, like I don't love it being the focal point. So I almost wish that Nightmare on Elm Street was just kind of like one palette where you had a little bit of green, you had a little bit of red, and you kind of had some neutrals or something like that. I feel like that would have been better. But that said, application wise, it was fine. Similar to the Freddy Krueger palette, the mattes are incredibly pigmented. A little bit does go a long way. You're able to blend out with no issues. I didn't experience any patchiness or any shade lifting or anything like that. Everything was fine. And again, the same thing with the shimmers. There is a little bit of a texture to them. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Nancy is a little bit smoother, and actually Springwood Slasher is a little bit smoother, but Nightmare, which is a very beautiful duochrome, that has a hard kind of like sandpapery texture. So not a fan of that. Now, initially I was gonna kind of go in with the silver, but I was like, you know what? I feel like I did that so many times already. So let's just try the other shade. Let's try this Nightmare shade, because it is a really beautiful duochrome that I feel like I don't have. It has like a pinky yellowness to it. And I was like, oh, this kind of looks really fucking cool. And the thing about it that kind of is like a little disappointing is that it's one of those shimmers that really requires you to kind of put a base down. And by base, I mean like a matte shadow or something like that, because I feel like if it's on your lid, you really have to build it up for it to be like super noticeable. So I felt like I had to kind of go back in a few times just to build it up. But when I did get it to where I want it to be, I think it's really cute. I do like it. I think it meshes very well with the reds. I just kind of wish that it could be one of those shades where I could just like put it all over the lid and just like go on my day. But I feel like it's too light, that like I just need it to have a little bit of a base so you can see the duochrome effect. Same thing like the Freddy Krueger palette. There is some fallout specifically too with some of these red shades, and they are impossible to clean. Hence why it looks like it's just very fucking pink over here. Again, making it look like somebody shit on my pillowcase, but it is what it is. There is a light bit of staining too, so just kind of be aware of that. If you do look like me, uncooked chicken, you are gonna have a little bit of a staining issue. But on the bright side, the staining does go away after a couple of days, so just a heads up there. Yeah, in terms of color story, it's probably my least favorite palette. I don't know, like, this wasn't like super special, super amazing. I really like the green palette more, but the green palette needs a red in here, right? So I wish that these two palettes were like morphed together. I don't necessarily think you needed to have two different palettes, but that's just my 2 cents. But quality wise, I definitely think this is better than the Chucky palette. Chucky palette is just the one palette that just has been the worst for me out of like all of these collaborations. So yeah, I like them. I don't love them, and they're certainly like not my like favorite, but they definitely get the job done. I think if I were to pick one, I would lean more towards the green palette because I feel like I would actually get more use out of it than say this red palette. But there are some nice moments in here, like Don't Fall Asleep and Dream Warrior, especially Dream Warrior. It has such a beautiful like satiny red shade. It's so gorgeous. Like I love this. Like this is a beautiful shade. But yeah, it's a palette that I'm not gonna really get a lot of use out of just because those colors don't look really amazing on me. So green, yes. Red, not so much. But yeah, not bad. It's not bad. It's just not my favorite. That said, let's talk a little bit about what is like the worst versus what is the best. I think out of all the palettes, hands down, the Chucky palette for me, it wasn't good. As much as I love this color story, I hate the quality of it. I just think it's so patchy and just so hard to work with. A lot of people, I literally just was talking to Betty Jean about this and we were laughing because she loves this palette and I hate this palette. And I think I love the Ghostface palette and she hated the Ghostface palette or something like that. And it's like we are complete opposites. But for me, as much as I wanted this to work, it just never worked. So for me, this is like number 4. Like I wouldn't bother to pick it up. Moving on to number 3, I definitely think it would be The Nightmare on Elm Street. They're not bad quality wise. I just wish that they were one palette. I don't see the need for 2. So for that, it's like kind of huge points off because there's at least one palette that I'm not really going to be touching all that much. But as much as I do love the green palette, I think the Friday the 13th palette kind of just has a better representation of a little bit of everything. So it's like, I like this, but I think there's a palette that does a better job with the color story. Moving on to number 2. Now this is kind of fucking hard because I keep going back and forth because I really do love the Ghostface palette. But when I think about it, as much as I love it, I feel like the interpretation of Ghostface is it's an interesting one. In terms of color story, I think Friday the 13th just fucking wins it for me because it makes sense to the franchise, specifically Jason Lives. Bitch, this fucking, it just feels, I feel the 80s and I love it. I love this. And again, it just has a little bit of everything, which is what I love. But I do love the Ghostface palette. I think this is a very beautiful, moody palette. I love the shimmers in this one. They are incredibly smooth, very easy to work with. The mattes I've had no issues with. And by far, this is definitely the most, I guess, like unique in a way, right? Or the most shiftiest palette would be the Ghostface one. But when I just think about all of my horror babies, it just, the color story just doesn't really like scream Ghostface to me. I wish there was a little bit of red. Well, yes, you do get red as a blush. I wish there was red in the palette. I think there would have been a really cool addition, especially if it was like the red that was in the Nightmare on Elm Street palette that was in this palette. Oh, bitch. All bets are off. It's good. Please don't get it twisted. Like, I really do enjoy this palette because I do love a cool tone color story. But I guess just in terms of like what I think is the best, like the best representation of what you're getting and also the variety and the amount of looks that you can create, I feel like this is number 2. Regarding the amount of looks you can create, I feel like you are a little bit limited because some things are going to start to look a little bit the same. So kind of a heads up there. Now, Friday the 13th, bitch. I think this is the best one in my opinion. Again, I love the color story. I feel like the color story makes sense. Again, you get a little bit of everything. I love how metallic the shimmers are. And I really do love the silver that's in this palette. Now, I will say though, texture wise, I think the creamiest though is the Ghostface palette, then followed by Friday the 13th. Because now kind of touching them again, like there's something really slick about the Ghostface palette that I really do like. Not to say that these have like a really rough texture, but in comparison, they do feel a little tiny stiff, but not as stiff as the Nightmare on Elm Street. But regardless of it being stiff or not, application wise, they have all been really, really good with the exception of the Chucky palette, which fuck that palette, I don't like it. So yeah, I really love Friday the 13th. I think this one was probably the best one out of all of them. In terms of like accessories, it's kind of It's a toss-up because these are the best mirror, right? Like the fucking best, the best. Now Chucky did have this little tiny mirror. It's fine. Nah, it's like nothing like super fucking amazing. The handle is really, really small. So I feel like my giant hands are swallowing this. So I'm kind of happy that the mirrors did get bigger, but also it kind of does make sense because Chucky is so tiny. So it makes sense that him and Tiffany would have tiny little mirrors. But I think the quality of this one and just like the overall artwork is probably my least favorite, even though I think the artwork's probably a little bit better than this one, but I like the quality of this mirror more. And I actually like that it's big and I can see my big old fucking face. So then it would be this one. Then it would be Ghostface, only because she's thin. If she was a little bit thicker, had Ghostface eaten a couple of more Big Macs, maybe I would enjoy it. But this one, she is a thin bitch. I do love her, but she's a thin bitch. I think the best one, Friday the 13th. It's just good. It's everything you need it to be. It's adorable. We love Jason here. Love, love, love. Of course, with the makeup bags, I can't really speak about the Friday the 13th or the Nightmare on Elm Street because I didn't receive them. But the Scream bag is really nice. It's a nice makeup bag. It's annoying that the zipper pull fell off. So just kind of something to think about if you were going to pick it up, that the craftsmanship of it is not as good as you want it to be, especially for that price tag. But I love how big it is. So there are definitely pluses and minuses with it. But I guess I'll just have to give it to Ghostface because it's the only one that I fucking have in my hands and it's good. It's fine. She's a big bitch. Now moving on to blushes. I love them all. I think my least favorite though is Chucky, only because for this little duo, it should be two different colors, but it's not. I forgot the reason why. I think there was something that happened or whatever, but we have the same shade twice. That kind of sucks. So I don't love that. So for that, you're in last place. I do love the Ghostface blush, but she is a fucking moment. She is a moment, and I have to really be in the mood to wear like something this deep, and it doesn't happen very often. So for me, as much as I love the quality, it's something that I'm not going to be really picking up too much. So that said, number one would have to be the Nightmare on Elm Street. The fact that you get a little bit more variety, you're able to mix and match. This is good. She's good. We love her. And I love how big this fucking case is. Amazing. Then of course, let's talk about the lips. I don't have it in front of me because it's in my bathroom currently, but the Ghostface collection did have a lip duo. That's really good. Like the little scrub and the mask. That's great. Fucking love that. That's something y'all should pick up. And then of course, in terms of lipstick, I think the Friday the 13th, one of them was really, really good, especially like that nudie brown color. Oh, fucking good. This one's really, really good. And of course, this Nightmare on Elm Street one. Everything else, I don't even want to consider or even think or like. Not a fan of. Those are the only products that are worth checking out. Of course, some of the other collections, you know, had either brushes or had some sort of like an eyeliner or whatever. And honestly, I don't even think they're really worth mentioning. Hate to be mean, but like, I don't think there was anything super special about them. And I don't know, I just don't think that there were the highlights at all. So I'm just kind of gonna gloss over those motherfuckers. So I guess the moral of the story is pretty much Friday the 13th knocked it out of the fucking park, then followed by Ghostface. Everything else has some hits with the exception of that Chucky collection. I'm still actually really mad about that stupid Tiffany bag. I wanted it to be a makeup bag so badly, not an actual crossbody bag or over the shoulder bag. Fuck that bag. Anyway, so yeah, those are my 2 cents. Now the good news is some of this stuff is actually currently on sale because Glamlite is having a really, really amazing Black Friday sale. So if you were ever interested in wanting to pick up certain things, you can pick it up now at a discount. How lovely is that? I don't know if affiliate codes can get you additional savings, but if they do, amazing. Use garbage. Get a little bit more money back in your pocket. So yeah, anyway, now I want to hear from y'all. Let me know down below if you have any of these collections or if you're still waiting for them, which I know that is the one thing I kind of actually should have addressed that in the beginning, but we're going to talk about it now, like very quickly. The shipping on some of these collections was abysmal. I'm so sorry to say it, but it's true. I just don't think they were fully prepared, which on one hand is like, oh my God, that's amazing because y'all sold a lot of shit, but also like, oh no. There is so much shit that needs to go out. So I feel like they got overwhelmed really, really badly. And listen, that would be fine if this only happened once, but even before I was affiliated with the brand, I used to purchase a lot of this shit and it would take a long fucking time for it to arrive. So I only can hope that in 2024, they fine tune their shipping shit, because that is the one thing that is probably the most annoying thing about all of these collections is that it's already Christmas and some people haven't received like their Halloween stuff, you know? So by the time you do get it, you're just like, now I've shifted gears into this season, and that kind of sucks. That's not fun. So that's something that I sincerely hope the brand is working on. I know they're currently growing, and I cannot imagine that that is not one of their things that they're working on, but I just hope that they just get better and do better. And I don't know, just make this a little bit more seamless so that we're all kind of getting our stuff at the appropriate times as opposed to fucking way down the line. That kind of sucks. So anyway, now I want to hear from y'all. Let me know down below if you have any of it. If you're still waiting for it, let me know, because I love hearing from you. And again, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it as always. Feel free to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, it's free, and hit that bell icon for notification of all my future posts. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, and to my beautiful, wonderful YouTube members and patrons. Thank you so much for keeping this delicious, disgusting, filthy, trashy, really filthy, really gross, really nasty, but gross and fun garbage boat afloat. Couldn't do without you. I love your adorable little delicious faces, and I just want to gobble you all up so you live inside my belly and we can be one. If you want to know what is currently on my face, everything you need to know will be listed in the description box down below, and I'll see you little pumpkins later. Bye.